this arcade shooter called Alien Armageddon. Now, it isn't exactly canon, but what it definitely is a thrilling game that has a variety of criminally obnoxious yet extremely dangerous versions of xenomorphs that you can hunt down and blow into pieces, with a variety of uber awesome guns and grenades. But the intriguing bit is that some of these may appear in the upcoming Alien TV show called Alien Earth. You see, much like the story of Alien Armageddon, even Alien Earth has a crashed ship bringing xenomorphs to Earth. These creatures from Alien Armageddon have never actually been seen in the films, and some of these were lab-grown experiments conducted by the company. Of course, I'm talking about the company that loves to do horrific experiments in the name of science. These we'll call the A-Series or Armageddon series variants, and the other Xenos that feature in the game are the result of some really bizarre mutations, like flying facehuggers to giant winged queens. If these are brought to the big screen, imagine the horror one would face. And in this video, I'm gonna explore all 9 unique unseen xenomorphs seen in the Alien Armageddon game that can show up in future Alien and AVP movies and TV shows. But before I begin, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Those 2 small clicks from you will help us tremendously in bringing you more of these marvelous videos. And now, let's begin. Royal Facehuggers. The Royal Facehugger, aka Queen Facehugger or Super Facehugger, is one of the rarest facehuggers there is. It's a special variant capable of implanting a xenomorph queen embryo into a host. Actually, technically it's a substance called Plagiarius praepotens, but for the sake of this video and convenience, I'll just call it the embryo. So when you get facehugged by a Royal Facehugger, what comes out of your body, bursting your chest open, is not a regular drone, but a Royal Chest Burster, or a Queen Chest Burster. Now, I know that I said this video is all about those never-before seen Xenos that only appeared in the game Alien Armageddon, but the Royal Facehugger made one brief appearance in the 3rd Alien movie, which no one would mind forgetting. More specifically, it appeared in the assembly cut of the movie, on all 4s with webbing between its legs. And because of how short and obscure its appearance was, I thought I should mention it on this list. In Aliens Armageddon, Royal Facehuggers appear in the xenomorph nest alongside eggs. Their sole purpose in the game is to serve as agents of hive expansion, so if one latches on, you can bet a new queen is in the works. We haven't yet seen one of these queen-making facehuggers in the actual theatrical releases, but imagine the implications. A future film could use a Royal Facehugger as a plot device for breeding a new queen on some unsuspecting colony. Visually, the chest-bursting scene would be much deadlier because a bigger creature would come out of the poor victim. All those extra armor ridges and its size, I can only imagine. Furthermore, the Royal Facehugger, unlike the regular ones, can impregnate 2 hosts. One impregnation leads to a queen, and the other leads to a regular xenomorph drone. This ensures that the queen is protected while it's in its infant state. Physically speaking, the Royal Facehugger is much larger and tougher than your garden variety facehuggers, and also has protective armor plating. Not only that, it even has a bladed tail to fend off threats, all to safeguard the precious queen offspring it carries. Giant Flying Queen. Yes, that's exactly what you heard. As if xenomorph queens weren't already terrifying, they had to give it wings. Kinda like a queen on 1,000 Red Bulls mixed with steroids. In the game, the final boss is a massive xenomorph queen with the ability to take to the air. She's essentially an alien queen crossed with a dragon, and has a huge pair of wings in addition to her usual limbs. In Armageddon's story, the winged queen is a normal Xeno, and not a Weyland-Yutani creation. It's believed that during her time on Earth, she evolved or mutated. The flying queen is definitely more dangerous than her regular sister, because she uses her wings to cover the sky, in addition to land, to rain all sorts of destruction from above. Players had to unload everything they had to bring this airborne behemoth down. Obviously, a winged queen is something the films have never shown, but we've had instances of flying xenomorph queens in comics. Introducing a flying queen in a movie could raise the stakes for the humans, or predators fighting her. In fact, a predator would see her as the ultimate trophy. The Armageddon flying queen was kaiju-sized and came out of nowhere, and if she ever shows up in a film, Alien fans would go nuts. Flying Facehuggers. Alien Armageddon seemed to have a thing for flying variants of all things xenomorph. These little devils were engineered by Weyland-Yutani as part of their Fight Xenos with Xenos A-Series program. They gave the Facehugger upgrades in the form of longer tails that came with razor-sharp blades and a pair of wings, which turned them into airborne creatures that hunted in packs and tried to overwhelm you with their sheer numbers. They're slightly larger than normal Facehuggers and have 2 colors, basically black with beige highlights. This could have been the result of all that genetic tinkering that the Weyland-Yutani guys did on facehuggers. In gameplay, you'll see swarms of flying facehuggers swooping at you. Unlike the traditional facehugger that single-mindedly tries to implant you, these ones want to kill instead of infect. In fact, the flying facehugger was designed not to create more aliens or to facehug. Instead, these guys incapacitate or slay hosts outright, so that normal xenomorphs can't use those hosts to breed. In terms of unseen movie potential, flying facehuggers could also serve as anti-propagation weapons, but even if you leave that aspect out, they could still serve as regular facehuggers who are more efficient because they can now fly and hunt you down, even if you're on a chopper or a skyscraper waiting for your exfil. The idea that facehuggers could be airborne is pretty scary as far as storylines are concerned, and can give the writers a lot to play with. It's one thing to keep your eyes on eggs on the floor, but a whole other thing to worry about facehuggers dive bombing from above. Giant Crested Xenomorph. One of the boss creatures in Armageddon is what fans call the Giant Crested Xenomorph, which is nothing but an oversized, rather supersized Xeno with a huge queen-like crown crest on its head. This beast is a Weyland-Yutani engineered mutation, built to tussle with the biggest and baddest aliens out there. In appearance, it's somewhere between a Praetorian and a queen, which explains its size. The broad and curved crest, complete with some extra spikes, and an incredibly tough exoskeleton. Interestingly, it lacks the small T-Rex arms that queens have, which is another sign that it's not a true queen, but a war beast of a xenomorph. It's also called a Crusher Praetorian, since its job is to literally crush rival Xenos. On the battlefield in-game, this giant crested alien even shows some degree of control over normal aliens. It was created by Weyland-Yutani as the apex of the A-series and was meant to take down queens, Praetorians, Ravagers, or any large xenomorphs. In Armageddon's climax, the giant crested Xeno squares off against the flying queen, and gets absolutely shredded in seconds. Clearly, even the best corporate biotech can't beat nature's own killer queen. But the concept of this creature seems intriguing for live action. We've never seen a Praetorian on film, let alone a gigantic hybrid like this. If a future movie introduced a giant crested xenomorph, it could serve as a new uber threat as an artificial xenomorph that's beyond the hive's natural hierarchy. Giant chestbursters. Giant chestbursters are another disturbing invention of Aliens Armageddon, and are sometimes called snake aliens. In the game, these are extra-large chestburster stage xenomorphs that lurk around the hive's egg chambers. Instead of scurrying off after erupting like the usual chestbursters do, these big serpentine aliens stick around to guard the eggs. These snake-like chestbursters are especially scary and dangerous, because they're the size of a small adult, and remain coiled among the queen's precious eggs, so that they could attack any intruder unlucky or brave enough to set foot in the egg chamber of the hive. They're also considered normal aliens and not engineered. The only catch is that they're just unusually big. Normally, the infant xenomorphs are about the size of a cat and pretty vulnerable, but not these giant ones. Their increased size is likely the result of some environmental mutation, or simply a gameplay concept because the creators wanted to give you more things to kill. Of course, these giant chestbursters have no limbs, but they're super quick and deadly. We haven't seen anything like a giant chestburster in the films, and the only cinematic comparison I can think of are the Hammerpedes from Ridley Scott's later prequels. But then again, they are far from chestbursters. The movies usually show the chestburster as the infant that scurries off to molt. The idea of one growing large without moving so that it can serve as a protector or a guardian to ovomorphs is fairly new. If a future Alien movie included this, it would be a sight to behold, but not for long, because you'll either need to kill it on sight or run away as soon and as far as is humanly possible. Brown drones. The brown drones in Armageddon are the result of Weyland-Yutani splicing the xenomorph DNA. These are basically standard xenomorph drones with a new paint job and allegiance, in the sense that they serve the company and not their black biomechanical brethren. I repeat, they serve the company and not humans, which I'll explain in just a bit. So the brown drones form the bulk of the corporate engineered A-series Xenos, and the color difference exists to make them distinguishable from their natural counterparts, who have a black carapace instead of brown. Beyond the color and whatever science horror games Weyland-Yutani played in secret, brown drones look and behave, at least for the most part, much like ordinary drones. They're roughly the same size and have the same physiology and capabilities, so they're fast, can crawl on walls, and bleed acid like any other xenomorph foot soldier of the hive. In fact, according to the lore, there's nothing visibly different in their morphology compared to normal ones. The big difference is they were bred to follow human commands and fight other aliens, which is what I was talking about earlier. In the game's storyline, hundreds of these brown Xenos were bred aboard the research vessel Capella, as part of a plan to take back Earth from the alien infestation. Of course, things went sideways and they escaped, after which the ship blew up, and now the brown drones are just as happy to kill humans as any Xeno. In gameplay, you encounter them alongside other A-series Xenomorph variants, and the brown drones are tough nuts to crack, meaning that they take more punishment than the feral black drones. And if they can take more beating, it could only be because of another tweak that the company did to the Xeno DNA while creating the brownies. On film, the idea of a genetically engineered Xenomorph strain is ready to be explored. I mean, if you think about it, the film Alien Resurrection had a lot of cloning and stuff, and since the movie did play with the idea of cloning and genetically enhanced Xenos, therefore showing a hive of brown-shelled Xenos would not be the worst thing to do, because the worst is already past, and it's called Alien Resurrection. Perhaps a rival faction of Xenomorphs created by a corporation. We've already had an Alien comic where the black aliens fight with red aliens for supremacy on their home planet, Xenomorph Prime. So yeah, the possibilities are many, but also risky. Hexapedo flying drones. Now, this is nothing like you've seen before, unless of course you've played the game. So the Hexapedo flying drones are adult xenomorph drones that have 6 limbs and the ability to fly, or at least glide, thanks to a pair of wing-like appendages. In Armageddon, they're naturally born aliens. Visually, they look like the regular alien warriors, but have an extra set of limbs that function as wings, which are what give it a total of 2 arms, 2 legs, and 2 wings, and hence Hexapedo. The flying drones still have the sleek black exoskeleton and snapping inner jaws of their ground-based cousins, but they can launch themselves into the air. Is it possible that these creatures originated from a winged host species? Maybe something like a giant bat? Or are they simply a natural mutation on Earth? Either way, they fight alongside the Flying Queen as her loyal sky hunters. In a future movie, flying drones would blow minds and break the usual containment strategies. Traditionally, Marines and protagonists could somewhat rely on the aliens not being able to fly. You simply secure the perimeter above and focus on ground-level threats. A winged drone tosses that playbook out the airlock. It would allow aliens to attack from unexpected angles and places, and drop down from dark rafters or glide over barricades. Done right, it could look horrifying and majestic at the same time, similar to H.R. Giger's version of a gargoyle maybe. Hexapedo Xenomorphs. Among Weyland-Yutani's experimental A-series aliens are the Hexapedo Xenomorphs and are essentially 6-legged xenomorph warriors. These brutes run on all 6, like some hybrid of insect and reptile. The extra pair of legs gives them added stability and perhaps speed. Aside from that, they're described as not too different from normal drones. They still have the elongated head, the spiked tail, the claws, just more legs to use them with. In Aliens Armageddon, Hexapedo Xenos are a bit rarer than the standard drones, but they form a core part of WY's bred army. Their carapace is brown, which is how we know they're the A-series Xenos, and they can do all the nasty things a Xeno can. Seeing one charge at you on 6 limbs is quite a sight. It almost makes you see it like a spider or a facehugger, which has 8 legs, scaled up to human size. Furthermore, the Hexapedo aliens are harder to knock over and could pounce further. In the films, all the adult Xenomorphs have been either bipedal, walking upright or on all 4s like a dog alien, or in the Queen's case, with the 4 main limbs plus 2 tiny arms. A 6-legged alien warrior has yet to make an appearance. Including one in a movie would make for a terrifying chase sequence. It would be as fast as a runner alien, but with the strength of a warrior. Biomechanically, it makes sense that adding legs could make a Xeno more resilient. Quadripedal dorsal spine-launching xenomorph. Finally, perhaps the weirdest and most over-the-top of the lot is the quadripedal dorsal spine-launching xenomorph. That long name basically means 4-legged alien that shoots spikes from its back. Unsurprisingly, this is another Weyland-Yutani engineered creation, one designed as living artillery. Fans affectionately nicknamed it the Katyusha Xenomorph, after the Soviet rocket launchers known for launching barrages of missiles. In Aliens Armageddon, only a few of these spine-shooting Xenos appear. They're kind of mini-boss enemies. They run on all 4s like a runner, making them fast and low profile. Along their backs protrudes a row of deadly spines or spikes. When provoked, they can hurl these spines at targets, turning their bodies into organic rocket launchers. It's a ranged attack no one expects from a Xenomorph. You're taking cover from one, and suddenly it flexes and fires off a volley of bony projectiles. The spines can impale Marines or possibly even other aliens. Lore-wise, Weyland-Yutani likely bioengineered this variant to soften up hordes of normal Xenos from a distance. They're brown-colored like the other A-series creatures, and just as hostile toward humans once they're loose. No longer is a closed door or a few meters of distance any safety. The alien could turn itself into a biological sniper. Visually, it could be horrific. Imagine an alien shaking its body and launching a shower of razor-sharp spines, perhaps with a chitinous sound, skewering anyone in its way. It brings to mind other sci-fi creatures, like certain predator hounds or tyrannid aliens from Warhammer 40k, but within the Alien universe context, it's uniquely terrifying. A future storyline might have corporate mercenaries deploying these spine gun Xenos to take out entrenched human survivors or rival aliens, only to have things go horribly wrong, as they do. From a fan perspective, seeing a Katyusha Xenomorph would be both awesome and dreadful. Awesome because it's something new and deadly. Dreadful because you know our heroes would be absolutely up against it. It's taking the Xenomorph's adaptability to an extreme. Not only can the creature stalk and slash, it can also perform suppressing fire with its own body. Good luck surviving that in a dark hallway. So yeah, Armageddon might be an over-the-top arcade game, but it was wise and novel enough in how it had this huge variety of dangerous Xenomorphs, and it seems the creators had free reign over what they wanted to create. From royal facehuggers that ensure a queen's birth, and flying drones and queens, to bioengineered freaks of nature with extra limbs limbs or built-in weaponry, none of these have graced the silver screen yet. Could they show up in future Alien or AVP movies? It's certainly possible. The franchise has been gradually expanding its creature roster. For instance, take the offspring from Alien Romulus. What I mean is, the Alien franchise understands that we, as fans, are always hungry for newer Xenomorph variants. And if done right, we love to get scared. So one thing that I can conclude from all of this is that each of these unseen Xenomorph variants would bring something fresh, frightening, and formidable to the table. That's all in this one, folks. See you around next time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.